when we were on the carpet, we were talking about Freemasonry in the Black community. I want to start with that. I want to start with the legacy of this grandfather character, but also the man looking over him as well, if you will. I don't want to give anything away in the story.
Yeah, I like that.
But tell us a bit about this history and this past and why it is something you wanted to showcase, because I think it's one of the best elements of a short film I've seen that I've been like, I did not actually know that much about that.
Oh, thanks, man. That's cool. So I always feel like I have to start with saying, because people always want to know, I'm not a Freemason. I'm not affiliated with Freemasonry. I am not a representative of the organization. As a matter of fact, I've been told many times how many things I got wrong in the film by Freemasons who've seen it. The idea of African American Freemasonry, my great grandfather was a Freemason. My great great grandfather was a Freemason, and his wife was an Eastern Star, which was the sister organization. That's not an uncommon thing where I'm from in DC. I feel like everybody's got an uncle or a grandpa or somebody who was a Mason. I know it's still pretty prevalent in the South too. I think that it is an organization that has a unique sort of, it's got a unique cultural legacy for African Americans, I think, because it was the only organization of its kind, just what I know about it. And I think that the story goes, I won't bore you with a history lesson, I'll make it quick. I think that a black man in the late 1700s tried to join a Freemason lodge in Boston, I think it was, and he was told that he could not join because he was black. So he appealed to the headquarters, which I believe was in England or Ireland. And the response they gave him was that, we're not a racist organization, we don't support that, but we can't supersede the laws of your country. I'm giving you sort of the Cliff Notes version. He said, if you want to start your own lodges, we'll give you all the same rights, all the same recognitions, all the same privileges, everything. So they started these black lodges, and they came to be named after that man. His name was Prince Hall, I believe it was a black man from Barbados. So most African American men can call themselves Prince Hall Freemasons. That's the black branch of Freemasonry. And I think it was a unique organization because there was no other organization like it. I think white men have had everything from the Elks Lodge to the Rotary Club, and even on the Flintstones they had the water buffaloes, but there weren't a lot of African American clubs. Like, there weren't a lot of places where black men could congregate with other black men who were talking about things like personal development and family and faith and giving back to the community and those types of things. I think it taught these men innately a sort of a sense of empowerment in a world that wasn't teaching them that it was okay to feel that way. And I think because that's sort of the origin story of the organization, as far as I understand or what I've been able to collect, I think that's why black men who are Freemasons sort of, they cut a certain kind of figure. They are a certain kind of personality type. And I liked the idea of contextualizing the grandfather that way, and him having these grandsons that didn't understand all these things about him, but would come to understand them in this very roundabout way.
Since it does share that similarity of grandfather to grandson, not is there a catharsis or anything, I don't think that story lends itself to this, but more, was it something really special to see it play out, and also to give these two young men characters that are like you, not fully aware of it? I love the fact that as an audience, just like these two characters, it is an unknown world, and there's a mystique to that.
That's cool. It's funny that you mentioned it. I think it is that way because I did this as a part of Film Independence Project Involve, which is their signature diversity initiative. They do a cohort of 30 or so filmmakers from diverse backgrounds, and we break into these smaller groups to make a series of short films. And the way the program works is you come in developing several ideas at once until you finally land on the one that you will shoot. And as I was developing the script for The Mason Ring over many months, The more I tried to find out about Freemasonry, the more I was realizing they were not going to tell me what I wanted to know. And I was laying in bed one night scrolling through Instagram, because I even followed their hashtags on, Instagram, just trying to find out anything. And I saw a post that said, it was a mantra of theirs that I've come to find out they're serious about. It says, always conceal, never reveal. So they don't tell you much unless you are a Freemason. I could not find out a whole lot. And I thought that was going to be a problem at first. But then I thought, we're just going to lean into that. We'll let it be mysterious. We won't pretend to know more than we do. We will let it be as mysterious to the audiences as sort of been to us, the filmmakers. So I think that's where that mystique comes from. In terms of any kind of catharsis, I don't think I would say there was any catharsis there, really. I enjoyed making the story, though.
Yeah. I'm curious. It takes place in a short time frame.
Yeah.
You shot it at night. What were the difficulties of that, and how much did you have fun off of that, and getting to play with the different lighting and changing of the view of what we're able to see? And then where is that actual
mortuary? It's a funeral home, Inglewood Mortuary. It's an old mortuary in Inglewood, California, and I lived in that neighborhood years ago, and I would always pass by that place. I thought it was the coolest looking building. So when we were thinking about locations for this, I was like, I think I know a place. Let me just stop by and see, if they'll be interested in letting us do this. And they said that they would do it. They said other things had been shot there before. I think an episode of How to Get Away with Murder. They weren't strangers to this because it's got a unique look. That place, it's got a real unique look. So they had other things filmed there. They said, yeah, we'll do it. And I said, well, will you do it for a low budget indie, because we don't have much money to offer. And the guy he stopped for a beat, and then he said, well, I'll tell you what, we can give it to you for what you're offering, but you can only shoot at night when we're closed. It can't interrupt anything. So we were like, okay, three nights at the funeral home overnight. That'll be cool. And the obvious question was, will there be any bodies on site? Is there anything we should sort of? And they said, no, we'll make sure everything's in the whatever you call the room where they keep the bodies, where they embalm them and everything. They said that's sort of in another house that's behind the site. So it was interesting. I think we all had to. There's a certain, in addition to the nerves that were already going on, there's a certain level of nervousness that you have to shake off when you're in the funeral home at night, on an overnight shoot. So I think we enjoyed it. It was a blast for me. The last night that we filmed, when I was driving home that morning, there was a genuine sense of sadness that it was over, because that's how much I enjoyed the experience. It was like an incredible ride that was ending at that point, at least. I will say the most challenging night was the third night, because I think when you're doing overnights, the first night, you can kind of do it. We'll be fine. We'll be fine as long as we keep the caffeine cranking. We'll be good. Second night was a little rougher. I think by the third night, we had all hit a wall. Like, everybody was just like, oh man, because it caught up with everybody by that point. And that third night of filming, those were the most crucial scenes. That was the scene over the coffin. We won't get too much away, but that was the scene over the coffin. That was the scene, the ring moment, all that. And it was like all the juiciest nuggets of the film were on this night when we were exhausted. I mean, we were just beat. We were like shells of ourselves. And there's the speech that Nathaniel, the man who opens the door, there's a speech that he gives in that part of the film that seems particularly sort of moody and soulful. And Miles Cranford, the guy who did that part, is an amazing actor, but I promise you some of that was fatigue, because I think we were just beat at that point. We were just all beat up. So that was, I hope that answers the question.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm curious, since you've come up with these stories about young men figuring out the world, your first film was about a similar story. Yeah. What attracts you to that line, but also, is that something you're really enjoying kind of unearthing?
Yeah, I am. I think that, this is an interesting time in film and television, because I think there's such it seems like a desire for diversity and cultural understanding and all these things, probably not like any time I remember in recent years. But I think as much as that exists, I do still think that there's a very sort of narrow view of African American male characters. I think the portrayal of black men in film and television, I really do feel that way. And it's been like that forever because when I was much younger, I actually started out as an actor, and I acted as a kid. And I feel like when I was a kid, everything was fine. I auditioned for everything from the Mickey Mouse Club to, I don't know, commercials, movies, stuff. But once I got to be about 15, every role that I was sent out to audition for was like thug, gangbanger, rapper. Like it did get insulting. That was the moment that's when I decided I didn't want to act anymore, because I didn't like the way that sort of made me feel. But also that if I got behind the camera and decided to tell different kinds of stories, that I could influence that differently. So it's always been important to me to portray African American male characters in a way with a little bit more nuance, a little bit more complexity, a little bit more vulnerability, I guess is how they've been described. And yeah, that is important for me to do that. That's a sort of a call of mine, I think.
Either way, they got good taste in which car they got to take over to the funeral home.
100%.
With what you just said in mind, what does it mean to be at a festival like Bentonville, knowing what their mission statement is? Yeah, it's maybe geared towards a different gender, but the diversity element is still about inclusion of all kinds, about all storytelling that isn't seen enough. How important is it to be at a festival like this for you?
It's huge. We didn't think we were going to get in. We were kind of like, damn, okay. It was a really pleasant surprise. I think that obviously what you're alluding to is it initially started as a women's film festival, right? It was, So, well, I have to say my whole team, all the other members of my cohort in Project Involve are all women. And I'll shout them out right now. Kira Wardlow, my executive producer, Fiona Hardingham and Nicole Mayros Dizon, they're my producers. Yang Popper was my DP, and Celinda Zhao, she was the editor. So I was the odd man out, literally. I was the only guy on the team, telling this very manly story, I guess. It's a very sort of male character-driven story. So when they submitted when the producers submitted this to the festival, I'm sure they did that because they were women producers of the project. And I'm glad they did it. I didn't think we would get in. I just didn't. I thought the story was too testosterone-y or something. I think it's awesome that we did. I think it really means a lot. It really does. It just goes to show that things resonate how they resonate. Story resonates how it resonates. So you can't count anything or anybody in or out. And I think that's the way it should be.
How much have you changed because of this project, and what are you looking to step into next, if you can share?
Yeah. How much have I changed? People describe filmmaking as an addiction, and it really is. It's made me more of a junkie. I will say that. Yeah. I mean, I feel like as soon as we wrapped, I was immediately thinking I got to go out and shoot something else immediately, because I think what ends up happening is with every shoot you learn something new, or you pick up a different skill set, or you get you have another kind of eureka moment, and you want to immediately put that new information into the next thing. So that is, it just sort of, it ramped all that up. It really ramped it up. So I'm dying to make the next thing. I mean, like so many filmmakers, I think directors, unfortunately, I think we tend to have the longest lulls between projects, and particularly writer-directors, because we write our own things, so you've got long development periods, between projects. So I'm developing the project I'm going to film next, which I'm hoping to film in, I was hoping to film it in September. Some scheduling things made it so that I can't do it until November probably. And because it takes place in D.C. where I'm from, if D.C. weather prevents that.
Oh, in November, yeah.
Yeah, it may be in the springtime. So meanwhile, I'll just be kind of itching to do anything else I can in the meantime. So.
So you're my first person from DC I've gotten to chat with in a while. Fan of the Commander's name or anti that name? Just curious.
I don't know anybody from DC who's a fan of the Commander.
I'm a Giants fan, so I think it's great.
Okay. I don't know anybody who likes that name. The morning they announced it, me and everybody I know was texting like, Commanders?
It's awkward.
Sorry, y'all. I had to say it.
I just had to do that. As a Giants fan, I just had to throw that out there.
Gotcha.
But no, Terry, is you know, what have you kind of gained from the festival experience as well? I'd love to know. We get to travel to festivals a lot, and I think it's very important for the filmmaker. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you've gained from being able to showcase, get the reactions from, but also knowing that people are picking these films and believing in them enough to put them into their programming? Sativa, Ashley, Wendy, they liked your film for a reason, and obviously your team for a reason. What does that mean?
It's amazing. I mean, I'm new to all this, and we just finished the film in November. It's June now, right? Yeah, lose track. It's June. We've gotten into 8 festivals so far, and a couple I can't announce yet because they haven't announced. But of the ones we've gotten into, 3 I wasn't able to attend for scheduling reasons. The first one, Pan African Film Festival, where we premiered, was in LA, which was awesome. That was like right in our own backyard pretty much. This is the first time traveling out of town and watching the film with an out of town crowd, you know, and this officially marks, I think, like a new phase for touring with the film and promoting the film. And this has been the best stop so far, I do have to say that. It's really cool. It's really sort of, it's the most festival experience I've had yet. And this has been like a cool one to like, you know, to have that experience. It's been really cool. It's always cool to see the film with different audiences and to see the different reactions. That's always really cool. We got a pretty warm reception here. That felt nice. And just meeting the other filmmakers and talking about everybody's sort of path to this point and what people are doing next. It's been really exciting. It's been a game changer, to be honest. I mean, I almost want to. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a short next or go straight to a feature. Like, I almost want to make a short just to have this experience all over again, you know. I see why people do a couple shorts or a few shorts before they jump into a feature, because that's a different beast in a different world. But the short film world, having a short film on the circuit is pretty cool. I'm into it.
Well, I can definitely see an extension of this story, so that means that your potential of feature filmmaking is there. So,
thanks, man.
Really love the Mason Ring.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what's next. Terry, thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. And I gotta say thank you to you, because you know I was surprised the other day when the first question you asked me was where they got that car from. I was like, oh man, you actually watched the film. You're like, yeah, I watched it and I dug it. So that meant a lot. I appreciated that a lot. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry.